I read the text 3 times before my hands started shaking. The message sat there on my phone like it had weight to it, like it could press down on my chest if I stared long enough. You're not invited to the wedding. It's a classy event. And then, just below it, a notification that made my stomach turn colder than the words themselves. Mom reacted faced with tears of joy to this message. I didn't cry right away. That surprised me. I just sat there at my kitchen table, the same table with the loose leg I'd been meaning to fix for years, the same table where I'd cut birthday cakes and signed school permission slips and folded laundry late into the night. The kettle on the stove had boiled dry, screaming its thin metallic cry, but I didn't move to turn it off. I was frozen in that moment where your life splits quietly in two, before you knew, and after you did. Outside, a delivery truck groaned past the house. Somewhere down the street, a dog barked like nothing in the world had changed. But inside me, something had cracked, slow and deep, like ice under too much weight. I'm the oldest sister, the dependable one, the one who always showed up early and stayed late. If there was a family dinner, I cooked. If there was an argument, I smoothed it over. If someone needed money, advice, or silence, I gave it without asking for much in return. That had been my role for as long as I could remember, so long that I'd stopped noticing how heavy it was. My sister, Lila, was always different. Younger by 4 years, sharper around the edges, the kind of woman who learned early that charm could get her out of trouble faster than honesty. Growing up, she'd borrow my clothes without asking, return them stretched or stained, then smile like I was wrong to be upset. Mom used to say, "That's just Lila. You know how she is." And somehow, that explanation always landed on me like an assignment. Understand her, forgive her, move on. So when Lila got engaged, I was genuinely happy for her. I was the first one she told, called me late one Tuesday evening while I was rinsing rice in the sink. I remember the water running over my fingers, the way my phone vibrated against the counter. "He proposed," she said, breathless, like she'd run a mile. "That's wonderful," I told her, and I meant it. I even sat down because I could hear something in her voice that sounded like hope. The man she was marrying, Evan, was polite enough. Quiet. He shook my hand firmly the first time we met, looked me in the eye. He worked in finance, wore press shirts even on weekends, and always smelled faintly of cologne and coffee. Not my kind of person, but he seemed to love her, and I believed that counted for something. The months leading up to the wedding were uneven. Lila would call me sometimes, excited, talking fast about venues and color palettes and guest lists. Other times, weeks would go by with nothing. When I asked how planning was going, she'd give short answers, distracted ones. "We're keeping it small," she said once. "I understand," I replied. "Just let me know how I can help." I meant that too. I always did. Mom, on the other hand, was suddenly very involved. She'd never been one for details before, missed school events, forgot anniversaries, but now she had opinions about centerpieces and menus, and even the font on the invitations. She talked about the wedding like it was a performance she'd been cast in. "It has to look a certain way," she said one afternoon while we were folding towels together. "People notice these things." I remember pausing, a towel halfway folded in my hands. "What people?" I asked. She waved it off. "You know, everyone." That was the first moment something felt off. Not wrong, exactly. Just misaligned, like a picture hung a little crooked on the wall. The next clue came quietly. I was at work, scrolling through my phone during lunch, when I saw photos on social media. Lila at a bridal boutique, smiling in front of mirrors, her hair pinned back, champagne glasses raised. Mom was there too. Cousins. Friends. Everyone looked dressed up, celebratory. I hadn't been invited. I told myself it was an oversight. Or maybe it was last minute. Or maybe Lila assumed I was busy. I didn't comment on the photos. I didn't ask questions. I'd learned long ago that in my family, asking questions could make you the problem. But the absences stacked up. A tasting. A planning dinner. A weekend trip to see the venue. Each time, I found out afterward through pictures or casual mentions. "You should have seen the place," Mom said once. stirring sugar into her tea. So elegant. I smiled, the way I always did. I'm sure it was. Then came the text. I was sitting at that same kitchen table when it arrived. Lila's name lit up my screen.
No greeting. No softness.
Just that sentence, sharp, dismissive, like she was swatting away something inconvenient. You're not invited to the wedding. It's a classy event. I read it once.
Twice.
3 times. My mind snagged on the word classy, like a fishhook. Before I could even type a response, before I could process what that meant, my phone buzzed again. Mom's reaction. A laughing emoji.
Bright.
Careless.
Public.
That was the moment the silence in my kitchen became unbearable. I turned off the stove, even though nothing was cooking. I stood up, paced the room, sat back down. My reflection in the darkened window looked smaller than I remembered. Older. I thought about every birthday I'd helped plan, every holiday I'd hosted, every time I'd defended Lila when others rolled their eyes at her behavior. I thought about the word classy and how easily it erased years of showing up. I didn't reply right away. I set the phone face down on the table, like it was something alive that might bite me if I touched it again. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to the tick of the old clock in the hallway. With every second, one question echoed louder than the last. How did I become someone so easy to laugh at?